session is starting very formally. We want to call on Madame Chinibu to give us a decorum of what it's all about before we proceed.
Okay, mene Suzanne Chinibu. Si akariminantini asongambo sa akamochi si do ala. The topic is the tradition, the Mbum tradition versus Christianity. And over the past few months, we've seen some videos circulating around with things that had not been before, where we see, for example, in the church, we see Yengwarom in the church, we see the cardinal play the folk drum. And
what
so
is the
basically,
we're
trying to get together to discuss more, to see if the two can get together. Can there be a marriage between Christianity and our tradition, like the Pew tradition, or it is a forced marriage? So that being said, there were a few people who talked about this. We had some vox pop recorded. Some people think that it's something that cannot be, something that the church is encroaching into religion, and the church thinks that religion is encroaching into the culture, thinks the church is encroaching into religion. So tonight or this evening, we are gathered together to have some people talk to us. We will brainstorm together and see the way forward with this. How can we preserve our culture? How can we also have Christianity going on? Because these are two different cultures, or could they be together? So that is the bit. With this said, I think the ball can roll, and I'll pass it back to Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. First and foremost, I'd like to present to you the speakers of tonight in Cameroon and afternoon in the rest of the world. We have Reverend Dr. Mfor Philemon. We have Tamfomi Edison Get. We have Father Paul Ndi, and we have Tamfomi Ndimanjong. This being a topic which the Frenchman says de faire la chronique, and people we've been talking about it. Please, I'll beg for your indulgence to make less noise at the background, otherwise we'll be compelled to mute you at all times. And so before we continue, I'd like to present to you as well the moderators of this program. We have Dr. Yengi Lillian. We usually call her Mangiri, for those who know her definitely. She's Mangiri. And then we have Tashi Tawe Nelson, and then we have Madame Galaya J, and my humble self. We will, in each of our roles, just go ahead and see how we can work together collaboratively and get what we expected at the end of the day. So in the meantime, I'm going to pass the floor to Mangiri. I prefer it that way. You have the floor.
All right, there we say, may young sing away, and may you look sing, Bamina, may be Magon, Menashine, making what we previously, and may be watching, marrying cat, and make look forward to getting to know them better. We be forcing it. We're not going to take a lot of time. What I'd like to do is just to give some ground rules. Unfortunately, I haven't attended any of the previous sessions, but I understood that this was going to be structured in the form of a debate. We have 4 people here whom we might think fall in one camp or the other, but we don't know until we hear them speak. And so we're going to give about 5 minutes to each of our speakers to talk about this topic from whatever direction they want to come. They might want to take a position, they may want to put a neutral presentation, but it's up to them to present it the way they view this topic. After those 5 minutes, we're going to ask them questions. The moderators as well as the general public or the audience can also ask questions. And while they're speaking, if you have any questions, you can please type them in the comments box. And when they finish speaking, all 4 of them finish speaking, the moderators would collect those questions and they would ask them to the speakers. And if a question is directed to an individual panelist, please indicate that in your comments so that we can direct that question to that particular panelist. If it is a general question, we will go through in no particular order to all 4 panelists to have their views on that question. At the end of the day, if we have a lot of time, we can also ask people if they have some burning issues that they want to articulate and express those by themselves. They can also speak, but it will all depend on how much time we have at the end of the day. But what we want to do is to make sure that the panelists present their views to begin with. We want this to have a very interactive session, although we're going to give a lot of time for the 4 speakers to present their views. We also want to have some feedback and iteration. So let's please stick to the time so that we can cover as much ground as possible. Ma Faria Jengala is our timekeeper, and when she has 4 minutes, when you've done 4 minutes, she will remind you that you have a minute left. We're going to start, I think, with Reverend Dr. Philemon Fo to present, and then we'll go to Tamfu Eugene, and after that we'll go to Reverend Father Paul Ndi, and then Tamfomi Manjong will complete the session of the presentations. And if we have a lot of questions posed, we will ask those questions. If not, the moderators will come in and maybe redirect or ask clarifications or anything that may come up during the presentation. So without much further ado, I will ask Reverend Dr. Mfuo to start the conversation.